Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding in Venice sparks viral TikTok reaction. Locals react. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's highly anticipated wedding didn't just make headlines, it practically stopped time in Venice. The historic city, long known for its romantic canals and grand architecture, transformed into a star-studded dreamscape as the Amazon founder and his media powerhouse fiancé exchanged vows in one of the most extravagant ceremonies of the decade. But while the tabloids and entertainment blogs focused on the glitz, glamour, and sheer opulence of the celebration, a surprising twist emerged from the cobbled streets of Venice. Not from a news reporter or fashion critic, but from a local TikToker whose simple video flipped the entire narrative upside down. This viral video is now being hailed as the unexpected voice of reason in a sea of online outrage. And what she had to say about the wedding? It wasn't what you'd expect. The wedding itself was nothing short of cinematic, with celebrity guests arriving by private boats and luxury water taxis slicing through the moonlit canals. The city shimmered under a glow of paparazzi flashes and designer sparkle. Everything was coordinated down to the finest detail, from the Renaissance-era palazzo where the ceremony was held to the A-list appearances by names like Beyoncé, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Kim Kardashian. The entire event felt less like a wedding and more like a scene out of a big-budget film set. Locals gathered along bridges and alleyways, snapping photos, whispering about who they might spot next. Tourists who happened to be visiting that weekend found themselves in the middle of a cultural phenomenon. And yet, as the images went viral, so did the criticism. Social media was quick to question whether the display of extreme wealth was appropriate in a city already battling issues related to over-tourism, environmental decline, and housing shortages. That's when a young woman named Julia, a lifelong resident of Venice, who goes by the TikTok handle @JuliaVenezia, uploaded a video that caught the internet off guard. Filmed in selfie mode, with the Venetian skyline behind her, Julia spoke candidly about the buzz in her hometown. Instead of lashing out at the Bezos-Sánchez affair, she offered a different perspective, one that many didn't expect, but quickly began to understand. She explained that the wedding had actually brought unexpected benefits to the local economy. Many of her friends and neighbors, she said, had been hired to work the event, whether as caterers, stylists, gondola operators, or event staff. For some of them, it was the most money they'd made in months. One of her cousins even landed a gig helping with floral arrangements for the wedding, which he said paid more than 3 weeks of his regular work. Julia's video captured hearts, not because of how eloquent it was, but because of how real it felt. She wasn't making excuses for the rich, nor was she pretending that Venice didn't have its fair share of challenges. But what she highlighted was the complexity behind these high-profile events, the way they ripple into the community in unexpected ways. She said Venice needs more than tourists passing through. It needs events that invest in its people, its businesses, its culture. And oddly enough, this wedding might have done just that. The clip quickly spread across TikTok and Instagram Reels, drawing reactions from international viewers who admitted they hadn't considered that angle. Comments poured in. Some praised Julia for speaking her truth. Others debated the ethics of such a lavish celebration in a city dealing with real-life issues. But the core of her message remained clear. Sometimes, something that looks extravagant on the surface may be fueling local livelihoods behind the scenes. Venetian newspaper columnists picked up the story soon after, featuring interviews with restaurant owners, musicians, and gondoliers who worked the event. One gondola driver said he hadn't seen that much activity since the Venice Film Festival. A pastry chef from a nearby shop was commissioned to create custom desserts for one of the wedding's after-parties, and said it brought her small business more visibility than any marketing campaign ever had. Even boutique hotels and artisans, known for their handcrafted glassware and masks, said they saw a sudden surge in demand. Still, not all feedback was positive. Several residents voiced frustration over blocked streets, overwhelming security presence, and the disruption to daily life. One elderly woman said she couldn't get to her usual market because the area was shut down for the festivities. Others warned that the city might lose its soul if it continues to cater exclusively to the rich and famous. But through it all, Julia's TikTok became the pulse of the conversation. Not just because it went viral, but because it managed to humanize an event that was otherwise seen as a symbol of excess. In her words, the wedding brought a moment of magic to a city that sometimes feels forgotten under the weight of political debates and economic strain. There's something undeniably cinematic about a love story set in Venice. Maybe that's why Jeff and Lauren chose it. Maybe it was a statement. Maybe it was just love. But for a few days, the world turned its eyes to a floating city where the past met the future, and where a viral video reminded us that reality is often more layered than it seems. In the end, this wasn't just a billionaire's wedding. It was a moment that sparked real reflection, challenged assumptions, and revealed just how powerful one voice can be when it speaks with honesty. So the next time you see headlines about celebrity weddings, remember this one. And remember Julia, the girl who showed us that even in the shadow of the world's richest man, a small voice from Venice could change the conversation. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on the next viral story from around the world.